For thousands of years, the Black Dragon Mountain Range has been revered as the sacred land of heavenly mandate, a place where countless cultivators believe that simply stepping inside grants them a chance to touch the gates of the divine realm. Legends of awakening dragon veins and spiritual energy gathering like an endless sea have drawn generations of powerful experts here in search of destiny. Yet no one knows that beneath the soil and stone, shimmering with spiritual light, lies a secret older and darker than the history of the Holy Temple itself. When Trun Da Min accidentally touched a cracked demon-suppressing pillar, he felt something that should not exist within this so-called sacred land, a frigid surge of demonic energy that pierced straight through his soul. 6 of the 7 demon-suppressing pillars had already collapsed in silence, their layers of seals unraveling unnoticed. The strange tremors, the cultivators who suddenly descended into madness, these were not blessings, but signs of a demon god awakening. And yet, in the grand hall perched atop the mountain, Van Tianhak and the elders still believed this to be a gift from the heavens. Only Trun Da Min understood the truth. If the final seal shattered, Black Dragon Mountain would no longer be a sacred land. It would become the gateway to a dark new era. No one within the Holy Temple ever questioned the title, Sacred Land of Heavenly Mandate. The Black Dragon Mountain Range had long been regarded as a convergence of dragon veins, its spiritual energy surging like the tide enough to sustain an entire era of powerful cultivators. Ancient stone steles recorded that a black dragon once soared into the heavens here, leaving behind dragon bones to anchor the land. According to the Righteous Path's interpretation, it was a blessing bestowed by the heavenly Tao. But when Trun Da Min touched the cracked demon-suppressing pillar, that faith began to waver. What he felt was not the pure majesty of dragon might, but a current of cold, sinister power seeping through the earth as if it were breathing, waiting. The patterns carved into the stone pillar were not formation arrays meant to channel spiritual energy, but sealing sigils of suppression. Every winding line descended into the depths below, restraining something buried far beneath. Fragments of memory from the dragon blood essence within his body slowly pieced themselves together into a terrifying truth. Black Dragon Mountain was not a place that granted divine opportunity. It was the fossilized corpse of an ancient black dragon, its own dragon bones forged into chains to imprison the demon god Qi Yuan. The sacred land, revered by the world, was in reality a forgotten battlefield where the seal had begun to rot with the passage of time. Realizing the truth was only the beginning of the horror. As Trun Da Min traced the sealing patterns, stretching deep beneath the mountain, he uncovered an even more terrifying reality. The 7 demon-suppressing pillars were originally linked together as a complete grand formation, yet 6 of them had already weakened in silence. Some were split open, as if damaged by an external force. Others had grown dim, their carved sigils fading as waves of demonic energy seeped out like black smoke winding through the earth. At the same time, strange anomalies began to surface throughout Black Dragon Mountain. The spiritual energy, once pure and temperate, suddenly turned scorching and violent. Several cultivators in secluded meditation experienced sudden surges in aura, only to lose control moments later, their eyes bloodshot as though possessed by something unseen. Some even broke through to higher realms far beyond expectation, but at the cost of their clarity of mind, their temperaments twisting into something cruel and feral. Trun Da Min understood all too well, this was no heavenly opportunity, it was a trap. Demon god Qi Yuan did not need to shatter the seal through brute force. He was using human ambition to do it for him. With 6 pillars already faltering, the 7th had become the final line of defense. And once it collapsed, all of Black Dragon Mountain, along with those who believed themselves chosen by heaven's mandate, would become sacrifices for the demon god's complete awakening. Faced with the increasingly obvious anomalies, Trun Da Min could no longer remain silent. Carrying fragments from a demon-suppressing pillar and traces of lingering demonic aura, he stormed straight into the grand hall atop Black Dragon Mountain. Beneath the radiant glow of spiritual light and before the solemn ranks of elders, his warning rang out like a discordant low note. 6 seals had already weakened demonic energy, was eroding the dragon veins, and demon god Qi Yuan was on the verge of awakening, yet the response he received was not alarm, but indifference. With the composed voice of the Holy Temple's leader, Van Tianhak, dismissed the disturbances as celestial signs preceding a great opportunity. The elders cited ancient texts, insisting that the fossilized dragon bones were a heavenly blessing, never chains forged to imprison a demon. In their eyes, Trun Da Min was merely a young cultivator misled by sinister energy, perhaps even the one responsible for cracking the stone pillar. Isolation tightened around him. But in that very moment, a surge of demonic aura erupted from the mountainside. Several disciples went mad in the middle of the plaza, their screams echoing as spiritual power twisted into black mist. The Holy Temple's faith began to fracture, though none dared admit it. Trun Da Min understood with chilling clarity, if they did not awaken to the truth now, the final chance to prevent the 7th seal from collapsing would vanish forever. The screams of the maddened disciples had not yet faded when the sky above Black Dragon Mountain darkened. Black clouds spiraled into a massive vortex over the plaza, and the spiritual energy was drained away in an instant. At the heart of the churning darkness, a figure slowly descended, cloaked in deep crimson demonic flames, his eyes like a bottomless abyss. Qi Yuan was no longer a distant warning. He had manifested before them all. With a mere flick of his hand, he sent an Emperor Realm Elder flying, the man's protective spiritual barrier shattering like glass. Demonic energy poured from Qi Yuan's arm, seeping into the trembling disciples below. In the blink of an eye, their gazes turned hollow, then as one they dropped to their knees, reverently calling him master. The pride of the Holy Temple collapsed in that instant. Vun Thianhak tightened his grip on his sword, joining the remaining elders as they formed a battle array in mid-air. But Qi Yuan only let out a cold laugh. He made no move to break the seventh seal just yet. He needed more materials. Every fallen powerhouse would rise as a demon general. Every wavering soul would become a drill boring deeper cracks into the final stone pillar. Amid the suffocating density of demonic aura, Trunda Min understood battle was no longer a choice. It was the only path left to preserve the last fragile thread of hope. Amid the chaos of the battlefield, as the Holy Temple poured all its strength into holding Qi Yuan at bay, a familiar yet unsettling aura suddenly erupted from the eastern slope of the mountain. Chen Jiaming turned. It was La Qianfeng. Unlike those who had been mindlessly demonized, his eyes were still clear, burning, even with ambition. In his hand pulsed a dark crystal beating like a living heart, the demon core fruit condensed from the demonic energy leaking around the demon-suppressing pillars. He had swallowed it. His spiritual power surged violently, his cultivation breaking past its former limits. No longer the prodigy who had always stood in Trunda Min's shadow, he now radiated a pressure that made the very air tremble. Black qi coiled around his body like a suit of armor. You always said I was walking the wrong path, La Qianfeng sneered. But this power, this is the true path. Trunda Min looked at the companion who had once fought at his side, his heart heavy as lead. He understood all too clearly this was not merely a battle to stop someone who had strayed into demonic corruption. It was a battle to reclaim the soul of a friend. Meanwhile, Qi Yuan silently drifted closer to the final demon-suppressing pillar. Two overwhelming forces erupted into the sky. If Trunda Min could not stop La Qianfeng, now the seventh seal would collapse from within, not at the demon god's hand, but through the greed of mankind itself. Amid the raging gale that tore through the Holy Temple's plaza, two forces collided, ripping apart not only space itself but memories as well. Golden light from the dragon blood essence in Trunda Min's grasp surged upward, taking the shape of a roaring dragon clashing against the dark crimson demonic aura, blazing around La Qianfeng. Each time, their weapons met, another layer of earth split open, as though Black Dragon Mountain itself were groaning beneath the tragedy of two former comrades turned against one another. La Qianfeng's gaze no longer fully belonged to him. He had gained the power he so desperately desired, but the price was fragments of his soul torn away and devoured by the whispers of Qi Yuan. Trunda Min knew that if he hesitated, the seventh seal would be shattered from within. Yet if he struck too heavily, he would bury with his own hands the last friend remaining from his youth. In the distance, the demon god advanced toward the final demon-suppressing pillar, each step slow yet certain. The personal battle, and the fate of the continent, had become one and the same. As lightning split across the sky, Trunda Min tightened his grip on his sword. The choice before him was no longer simply victory or defeat, it was whether he could preserve the last glimmer of light as a dark era closed in.